There comes a moment in life when you start to feel it deep inside, not just in your mind, but in your spirit, that something isn't right. You keep giving, keep showing up, keep sacrificing, yet somehow it's never enough. The more you pour into certain people, the more drained, exhausted, and unappreciated you become. That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's a slow leak of your energy, your peace, and your self-worth. Too many people live their lives trying to earn a place in hearts that never truly made room for them. They overextend, over-explain, and overcompensate, hoping one day they'll be seen, valued, and respected. But the truth is powerful and simple. People who truly value you don't make you feel like you have to fight for basic respect. They don't leave you questioning your worth. This is where your awakening begins. The moment you realize that your energy is precious, and not everyone deserves access to it. The moment you understand that holding on to the wrong people doesn't make you strong. It makes you tired. Real strength is choosing yourself. Real growth is knowing when to step back, when to let go, and when to stop draining your soul for those who wouldn't do the same for you. This is not about becoming cold or selfish. It's about becoming wise. It's about protecting your peace, honoring your value, and finally deciding that you deserve relationships that give as much as they take. Because the truth is, your life changes the moment you stop pouring into people who are never pouring into you. Recognize your worth before expecting others to. There is a quiet truth most people spend years avoiding, and it sits right at the core of how you live, how you love, and how you allow others to treat you. If you don't recognize your own worth, the world will not pause to figure it out for you. People will meet you at the level of respect you show yourself. They will follow the standard you set, not the one you wish they understood. And if your standard is low, if your boundaries are weak, if your self-belief is shaky, then don't be surprised when you are overlooked, undervalued, and taken for granted. You see, worth is not something handed to you by applause, validation, or approval. It is something you decide. It is something you carry in the way you walk into a room, in the way you speak, in the way you say no without guilt, and yes, without fear. When you recognize your worth, you stop negotiating your value just to be accepted. You stop shrinking yourself just to fit into spaces that were never designed for your growth. And most importantly, you stop begging for attention from people who only notice you when it's convenient for them. Too many people are out here waiting for someone else to confirm what they should already know about themselves. Waiting for recognition, waiting for appreciation, waiting for someone to finally say you matter. But let me tell you something real. If you keep waiting for others to define your value, you will always be at their mercy. Your confidence will rise and fall based on their moods, their opinions, their temporary attention. And that is a dangerous place to live, because it puts your identity in the hands of people who may not even know their own worth. Recognizing your worth is about taking that power back. It is about standing firm in who you are, even when nobody claps, even when nobody agrees, even when nobody understands your journey. It is about knowing that your value does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. A diamond does not stop being a diamond because it is buried under pressure. It remains valuable whether it is recognized or not. And so do you. When you begin to truly understand your worth, your behavior changes. You no longer chase people who are unsure about you. You no longer tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes, neglect disguised as busyness, or inconsistency disguised as confusion. You start to see things clearly, not through the lens of hope, but through the lens of truth. And truth will always show you who is for you and who is just around you. This kind of awareness is not always comfortable. In fact, it can be lonely at times, because when you raise your standards, not everyone will rise with you. Some people will fall away, not because you changed for the worse, but because you stopped accepting less than you deserve. And that's where many people get it twisted. They think losing people means they are doing something wrong. But sometimes losing people is exactly what needs to happen, so you can find yourself again. Recognizing your worth also means taking responsibility for how you allow yourself to be treated. It means looking in the mirror and being honest about the times you ignored red flags, the times you stayed silent when you should have spoken up, the times you accepted crumbs when you deserved a full meal. Not to shame yourself, but to grow from it. Because growth begins the moment you decide you will no longer betray yourself just to keep others comfortable. You have to understand that people will only respect boundaries that you consistently enforce. It's not enough to say you deserve better. You have to act like it. You have to walk away from situations that drain you, even when it's hard. You have to let go of people who only show up when they need something, even when you care about them. Because at the end of the day, protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. And here's something powerful. When you recognize your worth, you don't just change your relationships, you change your entire life. You attract different opportunities, different environments, different people. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally started honoring who you've been all along. Your energy shifts, your mindset sharpens, your presence becomes stronger, and suddenly, the things you once chased begin to come to you. But let's be clear, this is not about arrogance or ego. This is not about thinking you are better than anyone else. This is about understanding that you are not less than anyone either. It is about standing on equal ground, knowing that you bring something valuable to the table, and refusing to sit at tables where your presence is not respected. You have to remind yourself daily that your worth is not tied to how many people like you, how many people stay, or how many people choose you. Your worth is tied to who you are at your core, your character, your integrity, your resilience, your ability to keep going even when life gets heavy. That is where your value lives. Not in opinions, not in temporary validation, but in the truth of who you are. And once you lock into that truth, everything changes. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. You stop forcing, and you start flowing. You stop questioning your place in people's lives because you know that the right people will never make you feel like you don't belong. So don't wait for the world to recognize you. Don't wait for someone to come along and confirm your value. Stand up in your own life and declare it for yourself. Show it in your actions, your decisions, your boundaries, your standards. Because the moment you recognize your worth, you set the tone for how the world will treat you, and from that moment on, you will never settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. Stop pouring energy into empty relationships. There is a hard truth that many people feel, but don't always have the courage to face. And it's this: not every connection in your life is meant to be filled, nurtured, and carried by you alone. Some relationships look alive on the outside, but inside they are empty, hollow, and draining. You keep showing up, keep giving your time, your effort, your loyalty, but nothing meaningful ever comes back. And the more you give, the more exhausted you become, like trying to fill a cup that has a hole at the bottom. You have to understand something powerful about your energy. It is limited. It is valuable. It is the driving force behind your growth, your peace, your purpose. Every conversation, every interaction, every emotional investment costs you something. And if you keep spending that energy in places where there is no return, you will find yourself depleted, frustrated, and stuck in cycles that hold you back from becoming who you are meant to be. Empty relationships don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they show up quietly, disguised as familiarity, history, or obligation. You tell yourself you've known this person for years, so you keep holding on. You tell yourself they might change, so you keep giving chances. You tell yourself you don't want to be alone, so you keep tolerating less than you deserve. But deep down, you already know the truth. You feel it in the silence after forced conversations, in the lack of support when you need it most, in the way your presence is taken for granted rather than appreciated. When a relationship is real, it doesn't leave you constantly questioning where you stand. It doesn't make you feel like you are the only one trying to keep it alive. Real connections have balance. They have effort on both sides. They have respect, consistency, and a sense of mutual care. But when that balance is missing, when you are always the one reaching out, always the one understanding, always the one sacrificing, you have to ask yourself a serious question. Is this connection feeding my soul or draining it? There comes a moment when you have to stop confusing loyalty with self-neglect. Loyalty is not about staying in places where you are not valued. Loyalty is not about sacrificing your peace just to prove you care. True loyalty includes loyalty to yourself. It means recognizing when something is no longer healthy for you and having the strength to step back, even if it hurts, even if it feels unfamiliar. Letting go of empty relationships is not easy. It requires honesty, and honesty can be uncomfortable. It forces you to accept that some people you cared about deeply are not capable of giving you what you need. It forces you to release expectations you held onto for too long. And yes, it may bring moments of loneliness, but let me tell you something real. There is a difference between being alone and feeling alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel empty inside. Or you can stand on your own and feel at peace because you are no longer being drained. You have to get to a place where you value your peace more than your fear of losing people, because holding on to the wrong connections will cost you more than letting them go ever will. It will cost you your clarity, your confidence, your energy, and your ability to move forward. Every moment you spend trying to revive something that is already empty is a moment you could be investing in something real, something meaningful, something that actually adds to your life. When you stop pouring energy into empty relationships, you begin to notice a shift within yourself. You start to feel lighter, more focused, more in control of your emotions. You no longer wake up feeling drained before your day even begins. You no longer carry the weight of trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Instead, you redirect that energy back into yourself, into your growth, your goals, your purpose. And here's where it gets powerful. The energy you reclaim doesn't just sit there, it transforms. It becomes clarity in your decisions. It becomes strength in your boundaries. It becomes confidence in your worth. And with that transformation, you naturally begin to attract better connections. People who respect your time, people who value your presence, people who match your effort instead of taking advantage of it. But none of that happens until you make the decision to stop pouring into what is empty. You have to draw a line and say enough is enough. Enough chasing, enough overgiving, enough ignoring your own needs just to maintain a connection that isn't serving you. That decision is not selfish. It is necessary for your growth and your well-being. Understand this. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are lessons. Some people are temporary chapters. And that's okay. Their role is not to stay forever, but to teach you something about yourself, about your boundaries, about your strength. And once that lesson is learned, it is your responsibility to move forward, not to hold on out of habit or fear. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are not here to carry relationships on your back while others contribute nothing. You are here to live fully, to grow continuously, and to build connections that reflect the value you bring into the world. That requires discernment. That requires courage. And most importantly, that requires you to choose yourself when it matters most. So take a step back and look at your life honestly. Look at where your energy is going. Look at who is adding to your life and who is taking from it without giving anything back. And then make a decision that honors your worth. Because the moment you stop pouring into empty relationships is the moment you start creating space for something real. Something strong, something that actually deserves you. And once you reach that point, you will never go back to draining yourself just to keep something alive that was never truly living in the first place. Respect yourself enough to walk away from disrespect. There comes a moment in life when you have to draw a line, not for the world, not for anyone else, but for yourself. A line that says this is where it stops. This is where I stop tolerating what breaks me, what belittles me, what slowly chips away at my dignity. Because if you don't draw that line, people will keep stepping over it like it was never there. Not always because they are evil, but because you allowed it, because you stayed silent, because you convinced yourself that enduring disrespect was the price you had to pay to keep people in your life. But understand this clearly. Respect is not something you beg for. It is something you embody, something you demand through your actions, your standards, your willingness to walk away when those standards are not met. The moment you tolerate disrespect, you teach others how to treat you. You send a message without words that says this is acceptable, this is something I will endure. And once that message is received, it becomes a pattern, a cycle that repeats until you decide to break it. Walking away is not weakness. Walking away is not failure. It is one of the strongest decisions you will ever make, because it requires you to choose your self-worth over your attachment, your peace over your fear, your growth over your comfort. It means letting go of what is familiar, even when it hurts. It means facing the uncertainty of what comes next, instead of staying in a place that slowly destroys your confidence and your spirit. Too many people stay in situations where they are disrespected because they are afraid of being alone. They fear the silence that comes after they leave, the empty space where someone used to be. But what they don't realize is that staying in disrespect is a deeper form of loneliness. It is the kind of loneliness where you lose yourself while trying to hold on to someone else, and no connection is worth that price. Respect begins with you. It begins with how you see yourself when no one is watching, how you speak to yourself when things go wrong, how you carry yourself in spaces where you feel underestimated. If you don't believe you deserve respect, you will accept anything that comes your way. But when you know your worth, when you truly understand the value you bring, something shifts inside you. You no longer tolerate what you once ignored. You no longer make excuses for behavior that disrespects you. And here's the truth that many people struggle to accept. Not everyone is going to treat you the way you deserve. Not everyone will see your value, your loyalty, your heart. Some people will take your kindness and mistake it for weakness. Some will push your boundaries just to see how far they can go. But your job is not to change them. Your job is to respond in a way that protects your dignity. That response is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes, the most powerful response is silence followed by distance. Sometimes, it is simply removing yourself, without explanation, without argument, without trying to make them understand what they clearly refuse to see. Because real power is not in proving your point to people who don't respect you. Real power is in choosing yourself without needing their valid. Walking away requires courage because it forces you to confront your own attachments. It forces you to let go of the idea that things will get better if you just try harder, love deeper, give more. But there comes a point where trying harder only drains you further. Where loving deeper only leads to more disappointment. Where giving more only leaves you empty. And that is the moment you have to stop and say enough. You have to remind yourself that you are not here to be tolerated. You are not here to be an option, a convenience, a backup plan. You are here to be respected, appreciated, and valued. And if a person or a situation cannot meet that standard, then it does not deserve access to you. That is not arrogance. That is self-respect. When you walk away from disrespect, you are not just leaving a person or a situation. You are leaving behind a version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved. You are stepping into a stronger version of yourself, one that understands boundaries, one that values peace, one that refuses to settle. And that transformation changes everything. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may question your decision. You may wonder if you were too harsh, too quick to leave. But over time, clarity replaces doubt. You begin to see how much lighter you feel, how much stronger you stand, how much more aligned you are with who you truly are. And in that clarity, you realize that walking away was not a loss. It was a gain. You gain your peace back. You gain your confidence back. You gain control over your life and your energy. And most importantly, you gain respect for yourself. The kind of respect that no one can take away from you. Because it comes from within, and once you reach that point, something incredible happens. You no longer attract the same level of disrespect, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your standards are higher, your boundaries are stronger, your energy is different, and people can feel that. They know, without you having to say a word, that you are not someone who will tolerate being treated less than you deserve. So stand firm in your worth. Do not be afraid to walk away from anything that disrespects your peace, your time, your dignity. Do not let fear keep you in places that break you. Because every step you take away from disrespect is a step closer to the life you deserve, the respect you deserve, and the person you are meant to become. And when you finally embrace that truth, you will realize that the strongest move you ever made was choosing yourself when it mattered most. Your time and energy are too valuable to be wasted. There are two things in this life you will never get back once they are gone: your time and your energy. Money can return. Opportunities can come back around. Even relationships can find their way back into your life. But time keeps moving forward, and energy, once drained, takes effort and intention to rebuild. Yet so many people move through life as if these two powerful assets are unlimited, giving them away carelessly to people, situations, and habits that give nothing in return. You wake up every day with a certain amount of energy, a certain number of hours, and a choice. A choice about where that energy goes, who gets access to it, and what you invest your time into. And whether you realize it or not, those choices are shaping your future. Every moment you spend in the wrong place, every ounce of energy you give to the wrong people, is a moment and energy you can never reclaim. Too many people are stuck in cycles of distraction, obligation, and emotional exhaustion because they have not yet understood the value of what they are giving away. They say yes when they should say no. They stay when they should leave. They engage in conversations that drain them, entertain negativity that pulls them down, and hold on to situations that no longer serve them. And all the while, their dreams sit on the sidelines, waiting for the time and energy that never seems to come. But here is the truth that hits different when you really hear it. You don't lack time. You lack focus on where your time is going. You don't lack energy, you are just spending it in the wrong places. When you begin to see your time and energy as investments rather than resources, everything changes. You start asking better questions. Is this worth my attention? Is this helping me grow? Is this adding something meaningful to my life? Or is it just taking from me? Your life is a reflection of what you consistently give your time and energy to. If you give it to negativity, you will feel drained and stuck. If you give it to growth, discipline, and purpose, you will begin to see progress and fulfillment. The difference is not in your potential. It is in your priorities. There is power in being selective, power in choosing where you show up, where you engage, and where you pull back. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not everyone deserves your presence. And not every situation deserves your effort. When you understand that, you stop trying to be everywhere and everything for everyone. You begin to focus on what truly matters. And that focus becomes your strength. You have to learn to protect your time, like it is your most valuable possession. Because it is. That means setting boundaries even when it is uncomfortable. That means turning down opportunities that don't align with your goals. That means stepping away from people who constantly drain you, even if you care about them. Because every yes you give to something that does not serve you is a no to something that could move your life forward. Energy works the same way. Your energy is not just physical, it is emotional, mental, and spiritual. It is the force behind your motivation, your clarity, your resilience. When your energy is low, everything feels harder. Decisions become heavier, challenges feel bigger, and your ability to stay consistent weakens. That is why you have to be intentional about what you allow into your space. Pay attention to what lifts you and what drains you. Pay attention to the conversations that leave you inspired and the ones that leave you exhausted. Pay attention to the environments that fuel your growth and the ones that hold you back. Because once you become aware, you gain the power to choose differently. And choosing differently is where your transformation begins. It is not about cutting everything off or isolating yourself from the world. It is about aligning your time and energy with your purpose. It is about investing in things that build you, challenge you, and move you forward. It is about creating a life where your energy is used to create, to grow, to elevate, not to constantly recover from what drained you. There will be moments when people question your choices. They may not understand why you are pulling back, why you are saying no, why you are no longer as available as you once were. But understand this, not everyone is meant to understand your growth. Some people benefited from your lack of boundaries. Some people were comfortable with you overextending yourself. And when you change that, it disrupts what they were used to. But you are not here to live according to other people's expectations. You are here to build a life that reflects your values, your goals, your purpose. And that requires discipline. That requires the courage to disappoint others in order to stay true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the results of how you spend your time. And energy, when you truly embrace the value of your time and energy, you start moving differently. You become more intentional, more focused, more aligned. You stop chasing things that don't matter and start building things that do. You stop reacting to everything around you and start creating the life you want to live. And here's where it all comes together. When you stop wasting your time and energy, you create space. Space for growth, space for clarity, space for opportunities that actually align with who you are becoming. You give yourself the chance to operate at your highest level, to show up fully, to give your best where it truly counts. So take a moment and look at your life honestly. Look at where your time is going. Look at where your energy is being spent. And then make a decision that reflects your worth. Because you cannot build a powerful life while constantly draining yourself on things that do not matter. Your time is limited. Your energy is precious. And once you understand that at a deep level, you will stop wasting both on anything that does not respect their value. Choose growth over attachment to the wrong people. There comes a point in life where you have to face a truth that doesn't feel good, but will set you free if you accept it. Not everyone you are attached to is meant to grow with you. Some people are connected to your comfort, your past, your habits, but not your future. And if you keep choosing attachment over growth, you will find yourself stuck in places you were supposed to outgrow. Holding on to people who cannot meet you at the level you are trying to reach. Attachment is powerful. It pulls on your emotions, your memories, your sense of loyalty. It whispers to you about the good times, the history, the moments that made you feel seen and understood. And because of that, you convince yourself to stay longer than you should. You tell yourself it will get better. You tell yourself they will change. You tell yourself walking away means you are giving up. But deep down, you feel the tension between who you are becoming and what you are holding on to. Growth does not work like that. Growth demands change. Growth requires discomfort. Growth will ask you to leave behind what feels familiar in order to step into what is necessary. And that includes people, not because you don't care about them, but because you care about your future more than you fear. Losing your past, you have to understand something clearly. The wrong people will keep you small without even realizing it. Not always through direct negativity, but through limitation. Through conversations that never go deeper. Through habits that keep repeating. Through a lack of vision, a lack of drive, a lack of alignment with the direction your life is trying to move in. And if you stay in that environment long enough, it will begin to shape you. You will start to settle. You will start to lower your standards. You will start to question your own growth just to maintain the connection. That is the cost of choosing attachment over growth. It is not always loud or obvious. It is slow, subtle, and dangerous. It is the gradual fading of your potential, the quiet compromise of your dreams, the silent agreement to stay the same just so you don't have to let go. But there is another path, a harder path, but a stronger one. A path where you choose growth, even when it means walking away from people you once thought would always be in your life. A path where you honor the direction you are going, even if it means leaving behind what you have known for years. Choosing growth means being honest with yourself. Honest about who is adding value to your life and who is holding you back. Honest about the environments that inspire you and the ones that drain you. Honest about the relationships that push you forward and the ones that keep you stuck. And once you see that truth clearly, you cannot ignore it without betraying yourself. This is where many people hesitate, because choosing growth often comes with loss. It comes with distance. It comes with moments of loneliness where you question if you made the right decision. But what you have to remember is this: temporary loneliness is a small price to pay for long-term alignment with your purpose. You are not meant to stay the same person forever. You are meant to evolve, to expand, to reach higher levels of understanding, discipline, and self-awareness. And not everyone is willing or able to take that journey with you. Some people are comfortable where they are. Some people resist change. Some people feel threatened by your growth because it highlights what they are not willing to do. And when that happens, you have a choice. You can shrink yourself to maintain the relationship, or you can stand tall and continue your growth, even if it means growing apart. One choice keeps you comfortable but limited. The other pushes you forward but requires courage. Choosing growth is not about becoming cold or cutting people off without reason. It is about alignment. It is about recognizing when a relationship no longer fits the direction your life is moving in. It is about understanding that your future deserves your full commitment, not a divided version of you that is constantly being pulled back by attachments that no longer serve you. When you choose growth, you start to see things differently. You stop holding on to potential and start focusing on reality. You stop investing in who someone could be and start responding to who they actually are. And that clarity protects you from wasting time and energy on relationships that are not built for where you are going. And here is something powerful that many people overlook. When you choose growth, you create space. Space for new connections, new opportunities, new environments that align with your vision. You begin to attract people who think differently, who move differently, who challenge you to become better rather than keeping you comfortable. But that only happens when you make room for it. You cannot hold on to what is holding you back and expect to move forward at the same time. You have to release one to fully embrace the other. There will be moments when you miss the familiarity, when you think about the memories, when you feel the pull of what once was. That is natural. That is human. But do not confuse missing something with meeting it. Do not let nostalgia trick you into returning to places that no longer support your growth. You have to remind yourself why you started, why you decided to grow, to change, to aim for something greater. Because that reason is bigger than any temporary attachment. That vision is more important than any comfort zone at the end of the day. Your life is shaped by the choices you make consistently. And choosing growth over attachment is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. It sets the tone for your future. It defines your standards. It determines the direction your life will take. So stand firm in your decision to grow. Do not apologize for outgrowing people, habits, or environments that no longer serve you. Do not feel guilty for choosing a better path. Because growth is not something you should ever compromise. And when you fully embrace that mindset, you will realize that letting go of the wrong people was never a loss. It was a necessary step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. At the end of it all, you start to see things with a different kind of clarity. The noise fades, the confusion settles, and what remains is a stronger, wiser version of you, who finally understands that peace is not found in holding on, but in knowing when to let go. You realize that every time you chose yourself, every time you walked away from what drained you, you weren't losing anything. You were reclaiming your life. You begin to stand taller, think clearer, and move with purpose. The weight you once carried is no longer yours, and in its place is a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by rejection or misunderstanding. Because now you know your worth, you know your direction, and you know that not everyone is meant to walk that path with you. And that's the power of growth. It teaches you that letting go is not the end. It's the beginning. A beginning of better connections, deeper self-respect, and a life that finally aligns with who you are becoming. So keep moving forward, keep choosing what builds you, and never look back at what once held you down. Because your future deserves all of you, not the pieces you used to give away.